Let's talk modern vocal chops. You might hear artists like Mala or Gorgon City using these like hip hop styled chopped vocals. Look, it sounds awesome, but I want to show you a really easy technique to achieve a similar result. So here's the really quick idea I put together. So as you can hear, it has this like hip hop style vocal chop. You can't really make out the words. Let me walk you through these steps, how you could approach it in a very similar fashion. So if I show you without the processing, this is what it sounds like. Versus with my processing. So this is the vocal I started with. Now I'm going to be honest, this was purely creative in terms of getting these chops and getting the phrasing. And Ableton makes this really, really easy. So for example, let's work on this little section right here. All right, so I'm going to show you the creative process to this. Now, one of the advantages of Ableton is if I hold Option and Shift, and click and drag left and right, I could skim through this audio clip and basically keep the timing, but switch the part of the vocal that I'm hearing. So this is a lot of what I'm going to use to like stumble upon happy accidents with the vocal. That's kind of cool. Let's maybe open this up and shift this. Kind of like that as well. Let's go. That's kind of cool too. I don't know if I like the ending part. Let's if we just bring this over here. So you can see I'm just throwing shit against the wall. All right, I don't know if that one chop at the end there is going to stick, but let's open up another one. All right, now if I also hold Command, so Option, Shift, and then add Command, I can fine tune this. So once you get this creative chop that you like, the next step is going to be the processing of it. And I'd say there's this kind of fluid back and forth between the two, making them work. But let's move ahead to the processing so you can see how it all ties together. The first plugin that's doing majority of the work on the processing side is Shaperbox. I'm just going to turn it on so you see what happens. Then I'm going to walk you through specifically what I did. Now, if you don't have Shaperbox, can you still achieve what I'm about to show you? Yes, you'll probably just have to combine multiple plugins. So what I'm doing can be done with any stock plugins, truthfully. Shaperbox is amazing because it puts them all into one. Now, first up, I'm using the volume shaper, and this is creating that 16th note stutter, that kind of vibe there. So I have it set to a quarter note, but you could see every 16th, I'm creating a little bit of a fade, and I put some variety in there with the curves. You could see some are kind of rounded up, some are rounded down. Now, if you didn't have Shaperbox, you could do this with a utility plugin, with Gain. You could do this with LFO Tool. You could do this with anything that can sort of create this same kind of gated effect. And essentially, I'm just going for 16th notes. So you'll hear. Next up, I added some drive. Now, again, you could do this with any distortion. So if we skip past noise and time, truthfully, they're not doing too much, or it's not really important to this technique. The pan is, though. What this is doing is randomly throwing the vocal between the left and right ear, sort of adding to that stuttered effect, the chaos that's going on. If you have headphones or speakers, I would recommend listening on those instead of a phone here, but check this out. So I'm just doing a little bit of this to kind of make the vocal fly around. That's what Shaperbox is doing. It's really stuttering it and getting it kind of moving around the stereo field. So this next part, you have the freedom to process it however you'd like to sort of fit your mix, fit the vibe you're going for. So in this case, I did add an extra reverb, and you'll see I'm automating the mix parameter to basically come up every other part of the phrase. So that second half sort of feels a little more spacious and interesting. Then I went with Soothe to just clean it up a little bit. Little Altar Boy is changing the formants and adding a bit of drive. Then I'm doing a little bit of distortion with Saturn, specifically on this lower part of the vocal, 500 hertz and below. Making it sound a little bit thicker. And finally, some minor cleanup with an EQ. So once again, if I just go through both of them. The shit is really fresh though. You're hearing it in a lot of songs. And I think the coolest part is go grab a vocal, mangle it, chop it, try and come up with some nonsense that rhythmically fits your track. And if you do have Shaperbox, take advantage of it. If not, you could still achieve the gating effect, the panning effect, and any of the post-processing with reverbs and distortions using stock plugins. So this was a quick one today. Give it a shot. You got to mess around with it. If you found it helpful, give me that thumbs up on this video. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already, because we're putting out these videos pretty consistently at this point, and I look forward to catching you in the next one.